the AirTag Under My Car. It started on what felt like a normal Tuesday evening in Nashville, Tennessee. Emily had just finished her late shift at a local restaurant and was walking across the dimly lit parking lot toward her silver Honda Civic. She'd worked there for almost 3 years. It was routine, safe, and familiar. But that night, something felt off. As she opened the car door, her phone buzzed a notification that read, "Unknown AirTag detected moving with you." At first, she brushed it off. Emily wasn't the tech-savvy type, and she figured it was just some Bluetooth glitch. She clicked dismiss, started her car, and drove off. The roads were quiet, and her favorite playlist filled the silence. But as she turned onto the highway, the feeling of being watched crept in, that strange sixth sense that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. The next morning, she got the same notification. Again, her iPhone warned. An AirTag has been detected near you for the past 24 hours. That's when the unease turned to fear. Emily didn't own any AirTags. No one in her family did. She tried to open the Find My app to locate it, but the signal was faint, moving with her, yet impossible to pinpoint. She began checking her purse, her jacket, even under the car seats. Nothing. Later that day, she parked behind her apartment complex and decided to search her car more carefully. She crouched beside the vehicle and ran her hand beneath the bumper. At first, she felt only cold metal and dust, but then her fingers brushed against something smooth and round. A small, white disc. It was magnetically attached to the underside of her car, an Apple AirTag. Her heart started pounding. Her hands trembled as she pulled it off. The thought hit her like a wave: someone had been tracking her every move, every stop, every drive home. She ran upstairs, locked her door, and called the police. The dispatcher on the other end was calm but direct. "Ma'am, don't destroy the device. Bring it to the nearest precinct. We can check its serial number and contact Apple for ownership information." Emily followed the instructions. When the police scanned the AirTag, they confirmed that it had been registered to an Apple ID under a man's name, someone she didn't know. But when detectives began digging, the story became even darker. The man, it turned out, was her ex-boyfriend's friend, a guy who had been showing up at the restaurant months earlier, asking when Emily's shift ended, casually chatting with her co-workers. Emily remembered him, tall, quiet, always smiling in that unsettling way. He'd apparently followed her home once after work. Then, weeks later, he placed the AirTag under her car. The police reached out to Apple's legal department and subpoenaed the account information. It matched a Gmail address and phone number tied to the suspect. When officers brought him in for questioning, he didn't deny it. Instead, he said something that chilled everyone in the room. "I just wanted to make sure she got home safe." Emily's case wasn't unique. Around that time, late 2021 into 2022, law enforcement across the US started receiving reports of similar incidents. People, mostly women, discovering hidden AirTags in their cars, purses, or coats. The technology that was meant to find lost keys and luggage was now being used to stalk and terrorize people. Apple soon released a statement, saying they were deeply concerned about unwanted tracking and added safety updates, notifications, sound alerts, and even Android support to detect unknown AirTags. But for Emily, the damage was done. For weeks, she couldn't sleep properly. Every sound outside her apartment made her jump. She even stopped driving for a while, terrified that someone could be following her again. Months later, she told her story to a local news station, her voice trembling as she recalled finding that small, white tracker. She said, "It's scary because you never think it'll happen to you. And then you realize someone out there knows everywhere you've been." The suspect eventually pled guilty to harassment and unlawful tracking. He served several months in jail, and Emily obtained a restraining order. But she still checks under her car every single morning. And she's not the only one. Across the country, dozens of victims, from college students to single mothers, have come forward with eerily similar stories. Police departments have since advised everyone to stay alert for unknown AirTag detected near you notifications and to never ignore them. Because sometimes, that one notification on your phone could be the only warning you get before something far worse happens.
Story 2. The package that wouldn't stop moving. It started with a delivery that was never supposed to happen. In March of 2023, a man named Carlos Ramirez from San Antonio, Texas, received a notification from his FedEx app. Your package is on the way. That wouldn't be strange, except Carlos hadn't ordered anything. He assumed it was a mistake, maybe someone else with the same name. But when he checked the tracking link, he noticed something odd. The destination address was correct, his own apartment number, and the sender's name simply read, Private Individual. 2 days later, a medium-sized brown box appeared on his doorstep. There was no return address, no company logo, nothing but a printed label with his name and a barcode. He didn't think much of it. Curiosity got the better of him and he brought it inside. When he opened the box, he found nothing unusual at first, just a small stack of clothes, an empty wallet, and a folded note that said, Found these near your car. Thought they were yours. Carlos frowned. None of those items belonged to him. Then something stranger happened. About 2 hours later, as he was watching TV, his iPhone buzzed. The same notification many others had learned to fear. An unknown AirTag is moving with you. He froze. He didn't own any AirTags. He looked around the room, his phone, his bag, the package. The signal was getting stronger near the box. Carlos slowly lifted the items one by one until the AirTag chirped, a faint metallic ping sound coming from under the layer of clothes. There it was, a white disc perfectly taped to the bottom of the cardboard box. Someone had mailed him a tracker. He took a step back, heart racing. Who would do this? And why? He immediately called the San Antonio Police Department. When officers arrived, they documented the AirTag and sent its serial number to Apple for verification. A few days later, detectives got a hit. The AirTag had been registered to a man named Eric Dalton, a 36-year-old who had recently been arrested for stalking his ex-girlfriend in another county. By using the exact same method, Eric would send packages to his victims with tracking devices hidden inside. Sometimes under tape, sometimes in the packaging foam. When the unsuspecting person brought the box home, the AirTag would start transmitting their location to his phone. The woman from Eric's previous case had discovered hers when she moved apartments, and the same mysterious box reappeared at her new address, mailed again just days later. Investigators soon found that Carlos's address wasn't random either. Eric had previously lived in the same apartment complex 2 years earlier, and Carlos had moved into that same unit. Police believe Eric may have kept watching the area, using old addresses to monitor who lived there. When the police contacted Carlos again, they asked him to check for any other strange packages, deliveries, or even flyers stuck on his car. Sure enough, just a week later, another parcel appeared, this time smaller with nothing inside but a USB cable and another AirTag. The chilling part? The new AirTag had a different Apple ID, created just 2 days after the police had traced the first one. Eric had created a new account and continued tracking. By that time, Apple had introduced new privacy updates. Each AirTag now emitted a random tone at regular intervals if separated from its owner for too long. But still, in the wrong hands, they were being used as tools of control. Carlos started feeling paranoid. He couldn't shake the idea that someone was watching him. Every time he left for work, he scanned his car, checked his mailbox, and turned off Bluetooth when he wasn't using it. The stress started eating away at him. He even told his co-workers, "If I disappear, tell the cops to check for AirTags." A few weeks later, detectives found Eric Dalton hiding in a motel 40 miles away. In his car, they discovered several unused AirTags, a laptop, and a printed list of addresses, including Carlos's. It turned out Eric had been using AirTags to track multiple people, former neighbors, ex-co-workers, and even random strangers who'd once crossed his path. He said he enjoyed seeing where people went and feeling connected to them. The court later charged him with stalking, unlawful use of tracking devices, and mail fraud. He was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison. But for Carlos, the incident left scars. Even after the arrest, every time a delivery notification popped up on his phone, his stomach tightened. He still checked every package carefully, cutting through tape and shaking boxes before opening them. When a local TV station interviewed him months later, he said, "It's crazy. You think tech like that is made to help you find your stuff, not to help someone find you." After the story went viral, many others came forward with similar tales.
Story 3, he found me again. When Sarah moved to a new city, she thought she was finally free. For 2 years, she'd been trapped in an abusive relationship with a man named Jason, charming at first, controlling later, and eventually dangerous. When she finally escaped, she changed her number, left her job, moved 3 states away, and even deleted all her social media accounts. She thought she disappeared completely. For 6 quiet months, everything was peaceful. She lived in a small apartment in Denver, got a new job at a pet store, and even started dating again, just light-hearted coffee dates, nothing serious. But that peace didn't last long. One Friday evening, after leaving work, Sarah noticed something strange. Her iPhone lit up with a message she didn't recognize. "AirTag found moving with you." Her stomach dropped. She didn't own any AirTags. She barely even used Bluetooth devices. The message said the AirTag had been moving with her for several hours since she left her workplace. It even showed a small map of her route across the city. At first, she convinced herself it was a glitch. Maybe someone nearby had dropped theirs, or she'd parked next to someone with an AirTag on their keys. But then the next day, it happened again. Same notification, same pattern. And that night, as she lay in bed, she heard a faint beep sound coming from somewhere in her apartment. It was so quiet she thought she imagined it, but the noise returned once, twice, 3 times. Sarah got up, turned on the lights, and started searching. She checked under her bed, in her purse, in her jacket. Nothing. Then she walked over to her car outside and used the Find My app to try to locate the AirTag. The signal was faint but real, coming from somewhere inside the car. She opened every compartment until she finally found it, wedged under the passenger seat, taped beneath a piece of fabric. A white Apple AirTag. Her hands shook as she picked it up. It was cold, metallic, and terrifyingly ordinary. She sat in silence for a full minute before her body started trembling. There was only one person who could have done this. Jason, the man she had escaped. She drove straight to the police station, clutching the AirTag in a paper towel. The officer on duty scanned it and confirmed the device's serial number was registered to an Apple ID. They couldn't reveal the name without a warrant, but they advised her to file a restraining order immediately, which she did the same day. Within a week, Apple's legal compliance team responded to the subpoena from the Denver Police Department. The AirTag was indeed linked to Jason Miller, Sarah's ex-boyfriend. He had bought it online 2 months after she left. Investigators believe he had somehow found her new city through mutual connections or online clues, and then secretly attached the AirTag under her car while she was parked at work. He had been tracking her for nearly 3 weeks. When police arrested him at his home in Kansas, they found screenshots of Sarah's location history saved on his phone. He had been monitoring every move she made, from her grocery runs to her evening walks, even the nights she spent at home. He told officers, "I just wanted to know she was safe." But the truth was darker. In text messages retrieved from his phone, he had written to a friend, "I know where she lives now. I'm going to show up soon." Sarah's decision to act quickly, to check her car, to take the AirTag to police, likely saved her life. After his arrest, Jason was charged with stalking and unlawful tracking using an electronic device, one of the first cases in Colorado to specifically involve an AirTag. Apple publicly commented after the case gained attention, emphasizing new safety features. iPhones would now alert users earlier, AirTags would play louder sounds when separated from their owners, and Android users could download a free Tracker Detect app to find hidden devices. But for Sarah, those updates came too late. For months, she couldn't sleep properly. Every time her phone buzzed, she jumped. She even sold her car, terrified that another tracker might still be hidden somewhere inside. When she spoke to a local news outlet, her voice was steady, but her eyes betrayed the exhaustion behind them. "He found me again," she said quietly. And it was because of something that cost $29. Her story spread across the U.S., sparking a nationwide debate about how easily accessible tracking technology had become. and how quickly it could be turned against the very people it was meant to help. Civil rights groups began calling for tighter regulations. Apple, under growing pressure, released new privacy warnings and worked with law enforcement to make it easier to trace AirTag misuse. Still, cases like Sarah's kept surfacing, people finding trackers in purses, cars, even children's backpacks. One officer said in an interview, "AirTags are great for finding your lost luggage, but if you're not careful, they can also help someone find you." Today, Sarah lives in a new city again, a smaller town off social media, surrounded by people she trusts. She carries a small keychain with a Bluetooth scanner and checks her phone regularly for any unknown devices nearby. And sometimes when she parks her car, she still glances underneath just to be sure. Because once you've been found like that, once you've realized that someone somewhere could be watching your every move, you never truly stop looking over your shoulder again.